If you're looking for a premium badged compact executive estate and like the idea of an all-wheel drive Audi A4 Avant with extra road presence and enhanced stability in slippery conditions, then the German brand's second generation A4 Allroad model could well appeal. It'll also suit those who appreciate the virtues of a plush, mid-sized premium SUV, but don't really like the thought of being seen in one. There are certainly more affordable and more capable SUV-orientated estates in this segment, but there are a few more desirable ones.
This A4 Allroad model sits 34mm higher from the ground than an ordinary A4 Avant, and that extra ride height is there to allow for 23mm of extra suspension travel, which means that off-road, unmade tracks with large bumps can be taken more easily in this Audi stride. The lack of the kind of adaptable air suspension you'd get on the larger A6 Allroad model means that you wouldn't want to attempt anything more challenging than that in this car. Keep this model in its off-road comfort zone though, and it's reasonably capable, helped by an extra off-road mode in the standard Drive Select driving dynamics system that focuses all the electronic systems for off-piste use and keeps the car permanently in four-wheel drive. That fact is quite pertinent actually, because one of the things you really need to know about this A4 Allroad's new Quattro with Ultra technology four-wheel drive system is that normally it isn't always powering all four wheels. Audi's now moved on to on-demand functionality for its Quattro setup. This system cleverer than others in that it can predict the need for four-wheel drive activation based on road conditions and your driving style. Onto engines, all of which are mated to automatic transmission in the A4 Allroad range. There's a single 195 PS 2-litre TFSI petrol option, but most buyers will probably opt for a diesel, possibly the 2-litre TDI 190 PS variant. That's attractive because it can return up to 57.6 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 128 grams per kilometre of CO2. Alternatively, there's a couple of 3-litre V6 TDI options developing either 218 PS or, as in this case, 272 PS. This latter variant getting its own more sophisticated 8-speed Tiptronic auto gearbox. You can see why such a significant proportion of A4 Avant buyers opt to find the relatively small premium necessary to upgrade themselves into an A4 Allroad model. Obviously, isn't to go off-road. Audi reckons that hardly any of them will ever do that. Instead, the allure has much to do with image. The aesthetic changes made to create this all-road body style may be subtle, but they're undeniably effective in giving this car a little more street-side presence. Raising the tailgate reveals that this Mark II A4 Allroad model's extra 25mm of length has freed up 15 litres more boot space than before, the total now rising to 505 litres. Flattening the seat reveals up to 1,510 litres of space, plus there are the usual optional rail systems and load organisers. Time to move inside. Now, the exterior of this car may have been subtly adorned with rugged styling cues, but there are few of those to be found in here. Instead, there's lots of vulnerable carpet, leather and decorative aluminium that's going to be a long way from practical if you plan on regularly loading in muddy dogs and children. Still, we think it's unlikely that many potential buyers will mind that very much. Quite the contrary, in fact. As ever with Audi, it's the at-the-wheel experience that'll probably really sell you this car. The Ingolstadt brand isn't as far ahead of its rivals as it used to be in this regard, but this remains the defining cabin in its class, with surprising headroom, a wraparound design and a premium feeling of space and safety. The optional virtual cockpit replaces the entire instrument binnacle with a 12.3-inch LCD colour monitor and has a layout that's fully digital and customisable with smart 3D graphics and highly detailed effects. Anything this setup can't tell you will almost certainly be covered by the slimline MMI infotainment display that dominates the top of this dashboard. It's 7 inches in size on standard models or 8.3 inches if you opt for the top MMI Navigation Plus with MMI Touch system we're trying here, with its crisp 3D maps and responsive in-video graphics. Now, time to take a seat in the rear. Once inside, you ought, in theory, to quickly notice the benefit of the extra 12mm of wheelbase length this Mark II model A4 Allroad enjoys over its predecessor. Audi says there's 23mm more legroom back here than there was before, but to be frank, it doesn't feel that much bigger. Still, 3 adults are very rarely carried at the back of this kind of car, and 2 will be as comfortable as it's possible to be in a compact executive estate model of this sort. In summary, this second generation A4 Allroad is much more of a model in its own right than its predecessor ever was. If you want the occasional benefits of better ground clearance and off-road traction without the usual clunky dynamic downsides, if you can do without the image, the expense and bulk of a fully fledged SUV, and if, in summary, you want to make a sensible lifestyle statement, then here's a solution that's very thorough, very sophisticated and very Audi.